How are we actually going to tell who is doing these chalk instances? For example, is a child who is, coloring a flower on the sidewalk, are they also going to be punished and fined for just being a kid? I have those types of questions. I think it's fair overall, but I do think I want to see more detail on how this plan will be carried out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to comment on this matter?
My name is Misty. I live here in Walla Walla. I've been here for a little over 30 years. When 2020 rolled around and some of us had a certain way to deal with cooties and some of us had other ways to deal with cooties. When the person that has been main in question on this whole situation was attacked, which I've also seen on video, health departments, all kinds of different agencies attacked some of us that didn't want to follow mandates. You guys were following certain protocols that were mandated by, some people call him Dr. Fauci. I don't know. Different health departments that had misinformation in the first place. And we're now finding out that those things were not true. And this person in question was attacked on a whatever the buses are called here. Nobody was on the bus. This one person was told that he couldn't be on a bus for a mask. And that kind of started a war, which I kind of witnessed it. I didn't even know the guy. I witnessed it and I thought, this is just totally against Constitution. And nobody would listen to him. And then I had situations here in town. Nobody would listen. The only way that some people thought that they could get their word out, their voice, was on chalk. Some of us did rallies. We got attacked. So he started doing chalk, and I went along with him. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with. But that's not really the point. The whole reason the First Amendment has been given is for all of us to have our voice. If you don't like what somebody, wait a minute, I'm backing up. Somebody said that the person that was chalking attacked somebody for cleaning it up. I know that's not true. I've witnessed this person for hundreds of hours. That has never happened. This person is probably one of the quietest people I've ever spoken to. Anyway, hitting up people for doing First Amendment, which is completely with the Constitution, for calling out the corruption in this town, is just completely hypocritical. And I'm just hoping that you guys think about the whole picture. First, Second, Third, Fourth Amendments all matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on this proposed resolution? Ordinance, excuse me. Yes.
It's Andrea again. I am concerned that, like he said, about the domestic violence chalking. When they do those events and there's domestic violence chalking and that's not going to get erased, are we going to put the fine on the organization that did the rally? Is it going to be like an individual person that's going to be charged? Because when they do those events and they write chalk, is somebody from their group responsible to go around and make sure all that chalk is done? And if they don't, who are we all going to find? I understand why this ordinance is going on, that I know that there's people in the community that are frustrated with the chalking and what it says. And there are rights that we have. And my concern is that we're going to put an ordinance for, I assume, one person. I am assuming that this ordinance is coming to fruition, not because domestic violence left their chalk on the ground, not because the LGBTQ community that does their events in June and write their pro-pride events that are left there. Is this targeting them? Because they also chalk. So that we have many groups, and I feel that we are targeting one specific person in this community to make an ordinance about this chalk. Do I have a solution? No. I actually just heard about it and I introduced myself to Henry. I had a conversation with him. He's somebody in our community I may not agree with, but he is a person that does have a right to put his message out. And I understand people put their hours and time invested in cleaning. That's called volunteering. We do things in our community. I picked up garbage behind the dollar store in Rite Aid because I live in Eastgate. And we have homeless and we have garbage. We have Rite Aid that has just gone out of business. Joann's is going to go out of business. Are we going to put an ordinance for that? Are we going to put an ordinance for all the homeless that hide in a cubby and there's nobody that has that building, nobody that's going to call them up? I feel like this is targeted by one person.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to comment regarding this proposed ordinance? No one here? No, I'm sorry. Do we have anyone via Zoom who would like to comment?
Yes, Your Honor, we have David Schmalz. Get my system working here.
Yes, I'm one of those who have been volunteering to clean up this outrage in the downtown area. And I very much appreciate this proposal. I would have preferred it maybe a different form, but there were probably legal reasons why permitting this rather than writing an ordinance was the way to go. I would have preferred requiring someone wanting to chalk on the sidewalk to purchase a permit costing the estimated amount of cleaning up the mess and that amount to be refunded if the mess was cleaned up. That puts the obligation clearly on the graffiti maker. And again, I very much appreciate the idea that this ordinance is not about the content. It is about the context, that the presence of these things messes up the context of our community. And the, excuse me for this, but the absolutely outrageous continuance of this offense, and it is an offense to the civility of this community, that it's been tolerated this long is just, it just appalls me. So thank you for finally getting to the point where you're proposing an ordinance. I do have questions about who's going to enforce this, what amounts to evidence that is required in order to act upon enforcement. Do I need pictures? Do I need sworn statements? Will the police be doing routine circuits around town to check for chalking and note who's doing it? Do we need to submit photographs? I see 1,000 complications, but I see one less complication tonight, and that is that there's finally a potential legal recourse to suspend this outrage in our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else via Zoom?
No additional raised hands, Your Honor.
All right, bringing the matter back to council. Questions, comments?
You want me to address or do you want me to wait? I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
address that. I can address
I
that.
anticipate some council.
So
members will-
I'm going to ask Chief Butis to step up on there. Some of the questions that Mr. Calzaretta and Mr. Schmaltz asked were about the enforcement, and the chief and I have talked about that. I do want to thank both of them.